Hey. Hey y'all, it's Ayanna. Welcome back to my channel. Before we get started, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on all my socials at _ringbells on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Y'all, as promised, y'all can see, same outfit. We're going to jump right in and get the story times back rolling. So if you just watched the update video, like I said, this situation is a little bit more recent, so it's freshly on my brain. So I was just like, why not give y'all story time? So as you can tell by the title, this is a story time of more like a was I wrong? Am I the butthole in this situation? So let's jump right in. All right, y'all. So you already know, gotta get y'all the background, gotta set the scene. It actually feels good to say that again. But y'all, story takes place. I don't think I've ever told a story time about this girl before. So we'll just name her. I don't even know, y'all. I've done used so many different names now. I can't even think of like what to name her. We're just gonna name her Electra. We're just gonna name her Electra. So Electra and I met on Bumble like a few years ago, around the time that I had started dating Jordan. If you know, Jordan was the guy that I was with the whole his baby mom came to me as a woman, my literal first video ever. I met her around the same time that I started dating him, right? So I was on Bumble and I didn't have any real friends out here at the time. Like, obviously I've developed, and a lot of my friends that I have out here are like co-workers that I'm like really close to, that I've had at my various jobs of living out here for the last like 10ish years or so. So Electra and I, we met on Bumble, and at the time, I think I told y'all another story about a girl from Bumble, and I think I named her Tamara, but this is somebody completely different. So me and her met on Bumble, and I just wanted a friend to, you know, go to the movies with, go shopping with, go to Target, go to Ross, you know, little stuff like that, right? So me and her, we started talking, and you know, like Bumble Bestie, I think it's called, what was it called? Bumble BFF. I don't use it anymore because I feel like every single time I was on there, girls, like the same thing as like men get on apps just looking for just like different things, just weird stuff sometimes, and they sometimes more than not turn out to be weird, and the situation still stands for quote unquote friends on there too. But you know, Electra seemed cool, and we had, you know, messaged on the app for a little bit. And you know, what do you like to do? Well, I like to do this. What do you like to do? What do you do for fun? You know, what do you do for work? You know, are you in a relationship? At the time, like I said, I was dating Jordan. She was single at the time, so I was like, okay, cool. We made plans and we were gonna meet up at like this restaurant or whatever. Now y'all, we get to this restaurant, and I hadn't really been at a lot of places out in my area, just because like where I live at in Pennsylvania, it's not rural like at all, but it's not Jersey. You know, Jersey is a little bit more predominantly, where I'm from at least, a little bit more predominantly Black, a little bit more minorities. Out here is just like not the case. So I'm a little bit wary of certain places. Like if it looks like they're gonna have a problem with minorities being there, I kind of try to stay away, because the crowd and like the customers there are just not my cup of tea. So she wanted to go to this restaurant. I looked up the menu, of course, and it seemed like the food was good. She said she had been there before, so I was just like, all right, bet. Y'all, I pull up to this place, and it was like a bar, but it was giving Cracker Barrel. It was giving Cracker Barrel, right? So y'all already know, back with the red flag. So I get to this restaurant. She's already sitting down. So, you know, I go over there, you know, we meet, and, you know, we just start talking. We just start, you know, vibing, and lunch went good. I think we met up like after work or whatever. So lunch went good. And then over time, over the next like couple of months, we would just hang out. Like we would go to the movies. Like I said, all the things that I wanted to do. We would go to Ross. You know, I hung out with her for her birthday. Went on like, not really trips, but like I would try to hang out with her for her birthday and stuff. I wasn't really too keen on really like traveling with her just yet, because it was just like, girl, I don't know you like that yet. So we just kept it real, you know, real local. But things that I noticed about Electra was that she was into white boys. To each his own. I don't judge. You know, if that's what you into, that's what you into. I like Black men. Like, that's just my cup of tea. Like, that's just, you know, what I wanted, but I never judged her for, you know, what she wanted. The only problem that I had with Electra was just the fact that, like, she's dating these guys, but at the same time, like, she used to just come off a little, not aggressive, but desperate, you know, like, in a way. And we don't talk no more. Like I said, this situation just happened, so I just want y'all to know, like, I want y'all to tell me if I was the asshole in this situation. So, like I said, when we first, you know, started becoming friends, I would go to her house, we would order food, we would, you know, make wine, she would cook dinner, we would play cards. Like, I would go over there, be on her balcony, you know, gardening. She lived like maybe a half hour, 40 minutes or so, like, up the mountain, and her area was just like really rural, like really, really rural. And it really gave Cracker Barrel across the town. If y'all ever been to Cracker Barrel, y'all know what I'm talking about. If you ever been inside of a Cracker Barrel, it's just a weird vibe. Like, and I never, like, I've eaten there before, but not like sat down and eaten, because you just don't feel welcome. It just feels like a weird vibe. But I definitely be getting a little fried catfish and stuff like that from time to time. But she lived up there, and I would go up there, but she used to try to, like, fit in with the crowd a little bit more. And I'm just not like that, because I feel like if I'm not welcome and I don't feel welcome, then it just wasn't like a thing. The people that lived in her building, they were really cool, but like when you leave that building, you just getting looks, you know, different stuff like that. So that was just like, I'm sort of kind of trying to paint a picture of Electra. And like, she was black, like, I will say that she's black, but she was really into, like, and I don't want to say anything like offensive, that's what I'm trying to say, like, she gave Oreo, you know, Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, it gave that, right? So over time, you know, I would be with Jordan. Say I was at Jordan's house, for example, and she would call me and she'd be like, oh yeah, girl, you know, I have a date. And like, she was really, really, really heavily on dating apps, like Hinge, Tinder, Bumble, Plenty of Fish, you name it. Like, she was on it. And she would go on dates with these guys or whatever, and the dates would kind of sort of never like work out, or they would never really manifest. Like, she could be talking to somebody for like a week or two, getting to know them and everything, and she just wouldn't, like, the dates just wouldn't manifest into anything. So one particular time, right, she calls me, I'm at Jordan's house, and she calls me really upset, and she's like, yeah, you know, I went on a date with this guy. He didn't even make sure that I got home okay. He didn't even make sure that, you know, that I got home okay. He didn't text me. I think he had like blocked her, essentially. Now, not to put too much of her business out there, but like, Electra had more of like a disability, like a physical disability from something that happened with like her and her ex from like years way before I met her. So with her disability, like, her walking and stuff was a little off. I never minded it. I never cared. I'm not shallow or nothing like that. Like, I'm never going to feel embarrassed or weird to like ever be around her. And that's just the type of person that I am. I just never cared. The only reason I'm telling y'all is because it fits into the story. I wouldn't just be telling y'all this. So she tells me this, and if you know, to know me is to love me, right? So if you know me, you would know that I don't sugarcoat the friends that I have. I have to be able to be honest with you. You get what I'm saying? You have to be able to take it as me not trying to judge you or bash you or attack you or look my nose down on you or feel like I'm better than you, because that was never the case. But I started to notice a pattern when she would go on dates with these guys. And then I was like, you know what? One day I was just like, let me see one of your dating profiles from one of your, like, just let me see from one of the apps you're on. Let me see the dating profile. Y'all, I don't remember which profile she showed me, but I'm looking through, you know how, like, if you've ever been on a dating app, you know, some prompts you have that you can answer. Prompts were cute and witty and, like, you know, flirtatious and funny, you know, that somebody would respond to. Like, everything was good until I got to her pictures, right? So her pictures, she was like, she would take pictures. Like, say she had like a long summer dress on, she would have the summer dress on where you couldn't really see like her disability, like you couldn't really see like her legs and stuff. Or she would take pictures like sitting on the floor with like her legs stretched out, so you really couldn't see like what she had going on. But then when she would go on these dates, you can't hide that, you know, behind a profile. So me, being honest, I was like, you know, Electra, I feel like, you know, maybe you should start being a little bit more transparent of your situation prior to you going on the date. And she was like, you know, what do you mean? And I was like, you see how like on your Instagram you have like pictures of, you know, showing, you know, your disability, because your disability does not make you who you are. It's just something that you deal with, something that you have to live with, but that's not who you are as a person. But you're on dating apps. And y'all know, correct me if I'm wrong, me personally, experience with dating apps from the past, a lot of men on these dating apps are shallow. A lot of them are only looking for one thing. And if they're not looking for one thing, they're just shallow. You get what I'm saying? So, and a lot of people, the same way you would go and you would take a picture of you from 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when you was a size 0 and now you a size 12, and you're posting the pictures when you were a size 0, that's catfishing. You posting pictures with a whole bunch of filters on your face, that's catfishing. So I feel like in her situation, that was a form of catfishing. So I'm like, I don't know for sure, but maybe, these guys feel a way, like when they meet you, and they might feel embarrassed. They might feel a way about being with you, especially if you didn't disclose that to them. Now, granted, she comes back at me and she's like, yeah, but that's shallow. They shouldn't care. No, they shouldn't care. I'm not saying that they should care. They shouldn't care, but the reality of it is you're on these dating apps, and that's just what it is. Like, that's just the game. Like, that's something that you should be a little bit more forthcoming with. So she took my advice, and as she was talking to these guys or whatever, setting up dates and stuff, she would tell them like, hey, I had a situation back in the past, and that left me having struggles with my walking capabilities physically and everything like that. Some guys will either just, be like, oh, nah, I'm cool, or they would just like unmatch her. But then some guys would be like, okay, that's fine. Like, I don't care. So then she would start, actually, those dates would manifest into stuff because you disclose that information to them before you went on the date. So, one for Ayanna. And, she would just start dating over time, just the dates would turn into like weeks or months of, them dating or talking and stuff like that. So that's how her situation was with these guys for, over a couple of months, right? So at the same time, me and her are still hanging out. We're still, linking. We're still doing all of this stuff. Now, around the time that I had stopped dating Jordan and I had started dating Larry, right? Now, y'all know, y'all favorite, Clingy. I still have yet to tell this story time, but Clingy, and I don't know if I ever told y'all, Larry and Clingy didn't like each other. Clingy didn't like Larry before me and Larry really got serious, because I don't know if I told y'all. Well, I think I did. Me and Larry met each other before Jordan and I had, but it just didn't work out. And then I started dating Jordan. And then after I was done with Jordan, I started really dating Larry and taking him more serious. But when I started dating Larry, Clingy was trying to, like, be friendly. Like, oh, we need to hang out. I want to meet him. We need to go on a double date, stuff like that. And Larry's attitude was like, no. Your friend didn't like me before. She don't need to like me now just because, we dealing with each other. Our relationship don't have nothing to do with her. So I had to respect that, because you were kicking his back in, and it wasn't one of those, Thug and Mariah the Scientist situations where, like, I'm pillow talking and telling him, like, yeah, she don't like you. It would be times, like, I would be on the phone with him, or, like, I would be with him, and I would be on the phone with her, or I would be with her on the phone with him, and she'd be like, why you on the phone with him? Saying, like, little snide stuff that he could hear her. So he already formed his own opinion about Clingy before that. So around that time, me and Clingy were really close, and obviously I was telling her about how I was hanging out with Electra. Like, she's my new friend out here, So she was like, okay, like, I want to meet her. Hopefully she's cool, stuff like that. So at one point, me and Larry were, in the beginning stages, we were like a little bit up, down. And when me and Clingy sort of kind of ish felt like, me and Clingy had a little fallout. Again, a story time to come. We had a little fallout around the time that I was dealing with, I almost said that boy name, dealing with Larry. Her and Clingy, I guess, Electra and Clingy, I guess, found their way to be following each other or something like that. And then when me and Clingy had a little argument, a little disagreement or whatever about something pertaining to Larry, I don't know how, y'all, but her and Electra got into communication with each other. And then, long story short, like I said, because I'm going to tell that and go into more detail about that in another story time. Long story short, they were basically talking about how, I don't need to be with Larry and this, that, and the third, and, whatever else. And I felt some type of way because, like, y'all don't even know each other. Y'all not even friends for real. So I don't really understand why. I don't understand why y'all, bonding over y'all not liking my boyfriend. But that don't got nothing to, that has nothing to do with either one of you. Especially not to be kicking my back in about the situation. So that was the first time I had to, like, really check Electra, because me and Clingy were friends longer. So my checking her was more of a curse out. And my checking Electra, I was a little bit more gentle, but it was more of like a, girl, don't play with me. But, trying to still hold on to the friendship, and shouldn't have done that, right? I should have left her where she had me messed up at, because why are you bonding and kicking my back into a girl that you don't even know who calls herself my best friend? So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but I charged it to the game. We moved on. So fast forward, she's dating this guy. Now, Electra had this habit of like, and I'm not like this, but Electra had this habit of when she would be dating somebody, she would go ghost. Like, don't want to hang out, always want to be up under them. They come into her house, she go into their house. And to each his own, you know, I'm not mad at it, you know. Be with your man, you know, because I'm the first to be like, girl, I can't, you know, I want to be with my man, but I don't make a habit out of doing it. Like, we made plans and you're canceling plans with me to go hang out with whoever you were dating at the time. And I didn't really like that, but it was just like, okay, you know, it is what it is. So she starts dating this guy. We gonna name him, he don't really need a name, but just for this little segment of the story time, we'll just name him Santa Claus, right? Because he gave Santa Claus vibes. He was like probably 45, 50 or so. And he lived out here close to me. Like, mind y'all, I told y'all she lived like 30, 40 minutes away, but he lived out here near me. So one day I'm home. Me and her hadn't talked for maybe like 3 weeks, 4 weeks at the time. Like, I'm hitting her up, she's not responding. I was just like, okay, you know, it is what it is. When she's ready, she'll hit me up. One day she calls me and she's just like, oh, all upset, like, oh, can we talk, you know, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, what's up? She starts telling me all of this stuff that she got going on with him because she rushed that relationship. And from the very beginning, what I learned about Electra was like, she really wanted to be married, she really wanted like a family, she really wanted to settle down. And though I understood that, because like, you know, not all girls want that, but you know, majority of us, it's natural to want, you know, to be married. It's natural to not even necessarily be married. It's natural to want somebody, and that's not even just women, it's men too. Like, you were put on this earth to be in relationships, you know, to mate or to, you know, have a partner or whatever. She just wanted it a little bit more so, and I feel like her situation, like physically, kind of impacted it, because like she was just like desperate sometimes for a relationship, where it would be like, I'm dating this guy for like 2 weeks and now he's damn near living at your house in 3-4 weeks. I don't agree with that. Like, I just don't agree with that. She's traveling 3, 4, 5 hours to see guys and stuff. And again, that's her life. Only advice I could give is, you know, just be safe. You know, just be safe, because people are crazy out here, and you meeting these guys off of apps. If true crime don't tell you nothing, and I watch a lot of true crime, is, you know, you have to watch your own back. And I was always more worried about her because she couldn't really necessarily defend herself if a situation were to go left. And that was my main concern. Like, I just wanted her to be okay. So she hits me up, she's telling me about Santa Claus and stuff, and I, you know, I don't want to necessarily say, y'all, that I wasn't like sympathetic or empathetic to like it, but I just hit her with the, girl, you need to just slow down. You know, you need to just pump the brakes a little bit, you know, focus on you and, you know, what you want. Electra was the type that was like, I'm not with this guy. Oh, you talk to her, you'd be like, oh, what happened to Rainbow? Oh, girl, I stopped talking to him. I'm talking to Rug now. Oh, girl, I'm not talking to him no more. I'm talking to Purse now. I'm not talking to him no more. I'm talking to Water Bottle now. Oh, girl, I'm not talking to him no more. He pissed me off. I'm talking to Bog Bag now. Like, every single couple of weeks, if not a couple of months. But again, that's your life. It's not my business. So that, we gonna fast forward a little bit. Now, let's say now we're around like 2020. We're around like 2023-ish at this time, right? Now, I'm trying to remember exactly like what we really fell out about. Like I said, she kind of rubbed me the wrong way with the whole situation with Clingy. Then the next situation, it was that, like, she was just going ghost, and we kind of separated. And when she hit me up trying to talk and stuff, she was like, oh, we should meet up, go to Starbucks. We met up at Starbucks, and we kind of picked our friendship up where we left off. We going shopping again. She's helping me, you know, pick out outfits for this. We're catching up, you know, what you got going on, what's new, you know, what you doing for your birthday, what's this, or, you know, talking about relationships and stuff. And we were trying to, you know, keep the relationship, you know, the friendship going and stuff. So we were good all of another year or so. Then around like, I want to say 2020, end of 2023, going into like 2024, right? I'm talking to her one day, and she's like, oh yeah, girl, I met this guy off of, she was on like a Facebook, she was on Facebook dating too, but she joined like a Facebook group, and it was like interracial love or something like that. So she meets this guy in this group, and he's Caucasian, and he lived all the way out in Chicago. So she was telling me that she was talking to him and stuff, but she was just like, oh yeah, you know, like we vibing and stuff like that. I was like, oh, you know, show me a picture. She shows me a picture, you know, he's not bad looking and stuff, you know, he looked regular. I'm like, oh, how old is he? She's like, oh, he's 35. I'm like, oh, do he got kids? And she's like, yeah, he has 3 daughters, you know, 2 baby moms, and, you know, his youngest, I think his daughter was like 3 or 4. So I was like, oh, okay. I was like, he's working. Does she have a car? She's like, no, he doesn't have a car right now. And she was like, he's working. He's out on disability. So I'm like, oh, okay, you know, cool. So say like 2 weeks or so go by, and I'm scrolling Instagram and I see her story. She's on a plane. Like, she's got her blanket, her food that she got from the gate, y'all, and she's catching a flight. So I hit her up. I'm like, where are you going? And she was like, I'll let you know when I land. So I'm like, okay. So she finally lands. She hits me up. She's like, oh, hey girl, I'm in Chicago. So I'm like, Chicago? And she's like, yeah, I came out here to see, I don't even know what we're going to name him. We're going to name him Candle, because I just got one right there. We're going to name him Candle. So she was like, yeah, I came out to Chicago to see Candle. So I was just like, oh, okay. I'm like, bet he flew you out. She was like, no, I paid for my own flight. I'm like, oh. I'm like, you getting a rental car? And she was like, oh, no, we're just gonna like Uber everywhere or whatever. And I was like, oh, so you staying with him? She was like, no, I got a hotel. I'm like, he got you a hotel? She was like, no, I paid for my own hotel. Now, I know some of y'all probably like, Ayanna, what's wrong with her paying for her own way if she wanted to see him? Nothing, I guess. Like I said, y'all, I'm not trying to judge. Me personally, I'm not flying nowhere for no man, and you're not paying for my flight. You're not paying. Like, me personally, it's not even just about the money. It's about the investment. I need to know that you care, because time and time again, we have seen stories, we have heard stories, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, you name it, where girls will pay for their own way to get somewhere and then get dogged out when they get there. So I was just, again, I'm a Capricorn, I'm a realist. My glass sometimes is usually half empty, not half full. I live in reality a lot of the times, and I'm very cautious about certain situations, especially when it comes to men, let alone traveling out of state. I just don't play that. So she didn't want to get a car. She paid for all the Ubers while they were there. She paid for the hotel that they were staying at. She paid for her flight. And I think he got her like a little promise ring or something when she got out there. So, you know, they hanging out, they doing their thing, whatever. She was out there for like maybe a long weekend or so. And then she came back home. So I was like, oh, you know, how was it? She was like, you know, everything was good with Candle. You know, he has a little bit of issues with his, you know, his more recent baby mom. And she was like, I know how you feel about baby moms. And again, y'all, she knows that I had experience dealing with Jordan and Delilah. So I don't really do the whole baby mom situation. Ever since Jordan, for real, I really kind of stopped dealing with the baby moms and dealing with men with kids. But that's just my preference. You know, my first kid got to be your first kid. And if it's not, then I don't really see this going nowhere anyway. But we just having fun. I'm here for a good time, not a long time, basically. So I was like, if you already having issues with the baby mom and you've only been dating him for a couple of weeks, like, shouldn't I tell you something? And she was like, no, you know, that don't got nothing to do with me. But it does. His daughter's 3. It definitely is going to have something to do with you regardless, especially once she gets wind that you are in his life and has the potential to be around her daughter. And if she's already giving him a hard time, she's for sure going to give you a hard time. Like, that's just what it is. So she was like, no, you know, I don't think that that's the case, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever.
Have you learned nothing?
So a few weeks go by, right? And then she's like, oh yeah, he's going to be coming out to PA to visit. So I was just like, okay. Now, mind y'all, at the time, Electra was in the process of like closing on a house. Like, she was trying to work on her credit. She was getting her master's. She had a good job. Like, she was really on her shit. So she was like, oh, yeah, I'm about to close on a house. He's going to come out here. We're going to go appliance shopping. So I'm like, y'all going appliance shopping? She was like, yeah, you know, I already told him I'm not moving to Chicago. So he's thinking about moving to Pennsylvania. It's been like a month and a half. What do you mean he's thinking about moving to Pennsylvania? He has a 3-year-old. He's out on disability. Like, he don't even have a car. Shouldn't he be getting himself on his feet out there first? Like, I'm so confused. And she was like, no, like, he's just gonna come here. He's just gonna get a fresh start. We're just gonna start new. I really want y'all, you know, pause story for a second. I really want y'all to stop trying to build these men up. If it's your man already and he falls on hard times, by all means, do what you can. But stop getting with this men when you already up here and he's down here, and he's not trying hard to meet you here or even get a little bit above you. He's here. Hopefully y'all can see my hands. He's here. You're up here, and you're steady coming down to his level instead of him trying to come up to your level. Just stop doing that. Like, because it never ends well. It doesn't. Because when he do get on his feet, not all men, some men, repay the favor and they realize who was down for them when they didn't have it, and some men don't. And unfortunately, we hear a lot of the stories about men that don't. So again, I don't ever try to look my nose down. Excuse me. I don't ever try to look my nose down on her or, try to talk at her. But like I said, she just lives in like this naivety, la-di-da-di-da type of world. And sometimes you have to be intentional and sure about what you want. And the red flags were there. So I'm like, okay, like, whatever. And she was like, yeah, I want him to come and he's going to meet some of my friends. Like, I made a whole itinerary for when he comes. So I'm like, really? So she's showing me this itinerary. It's like, oh, we're going to go to coffee here. We're going to go to lunch here. We're going to go to brunch here. We're going to go watch the WWE here. He's going to meet my family here. Meet your family. Meet your family. Y'all, my now husband didn't meet my parents until we were already dating for about 2-3 years. He met like my friends, he met like my cousins, he met my brother and stuff, but he didn't meet my parents. I hold my parents so dear to my heart that like he didn't meet my parents until like October, November. He proposed in February and we were married in June. I needed to, even though I knew, I just needed to really, really know. And of course, not everybody lives their life like me, but it's too many red flags for me, right? So he ends up coming out here, and I guess he met her family, and she was like, I hit her up and I'm like, oh, y'all out here, let me know, what your schedule is like, because I wanted to meet him. She's like, yeah, girl, I'll let you know. I'm like, okay. Y'all, I'm on Instagram over that whole weekend. He done met like some of her coworkers. He met her family. He met some of her friends. She never hit me up, but I'm not about to be hitting you up, begging you to meet your man. I don't care that bad. You told me that you were going to have him come here and meet your friends, including me. So I'm just letting you know, let me know what your schedule is like so I can let you know what my schedule is like if you want me to meet him. And she never hit me up, so I never pried. I was just like, okay, cool. Maybe she didn't want me to meet him after all. So I was like, okay, cool. I left it alone. So a few days go by. He's back in Chicago. So I hit her up. I'm like, oh, how was it? And she was like, oh, it didn't really, go that well. He didn't seem really interested too much in like my family. He just seemed really, I'm trying to think of the word, y'all, like dissociated. Is that the word? Dissociated? I can't think, but he was a little bit more standoffish toward like her friends and family and stuff. And she was like, she doesn't think he really had a good time. And I was like, well, do you think it would have been better if like y'all kind of just went with the flow? You planned a little bit of things. I was like, y'all, she literally planned the itinerary from the time this man got off the plane to the time he was getting back on the plane to go back to Chicago. Like, you gave him no wiggle room for him to just sit on his ass and chill and eat a bag of chips and watch TV. Like, he had no wiggle room. It was like, nope, you booked up every inch of his time. Maybe he had a problem with that, and maybe he's vibing with you. He's in your neck of the woods, that he wasn't trying to pry. He wanted to make you happy. And she was like, yeah, but I feel like he should have just said something. And I was like, yeah, well, clearly you didn't want me to meet him. And she was like, oh, it wasn't like that. We just got really busy and stuff like that. You planned out everything to a T. He met like 6 of your friends. Me and you talk every other day. He met your family, but yeah, cool. Charge it to the game. It is what it is, right? So moving on. She goes ghost. Like, after we had that conversation, she literally just started acting really distant, like just really distant, to the point where we ain't talked. Like, she ain't hit me up. I was hitting her up. She wasn't responding for literally like a month. So after that, I was just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm not about to be like, because at that point I started feeling like you want to keep me in a category of a friend, like right here, but you telling me it's like this and you acting like it's like this, but your actions are showing otherwise. And I'm not about to beg nobody to be my friend. Like, if you want me in your life, then I'll be in your life. You get what I'm saying? But other than that, no. So she stopped hitting me up, and you'll be surprised when you stop being the one to reach out, how communication with those friendships, relationships, whatever you want to call it, goes. So when I stopped hitting her up, she ain't hit me up. We went like 2 months without talking, and one day she had hit me up and sent me like a long paragraph. Y'all, that message, obviously it's not sent no more because we talked after that, but if me and her never talked again, that message would still be sitting there because I just never really opened it. So I went on with my life. We ain't talked for maybe like 3-4 months at that time. Like, yeah, me and Electra didn't talk for like 3-4 months. Then she ended up hitting me up again, and she was just like, hey girl, you know, how you been? Like, I miss you. I don't know if she had saw a video like on YouTube or whatever. Maybe she was subscribed, you know, way back beforehand. I don't know. But she because now we're approaching into like sort of kind of end of 2024, coming into this year. So she had like I guess saw a video or whatever, and she hit me up. So at that time I'm like, oh, some time had went by, I was in a good mood, so we started talking again, start catching up, and she was like, you know, we should link up and we should go get tacos. So I'm like, okay, bet. It's this place out here that we really liked, but it's probably like 20 minutes away, and they had opened a new one that's only like 10 minutes from my house. So she was like, I'll come down to you, we can meet over there, I've been wanting to try that location anyway. So I'm like, all right, bet. So we meet up, we go to, and if you're new here, I talk fast, and when I'm hype about something, or I'm upset about something, or passionate about something, I start running off. So if you're new here, you just gotta keep up with me because I don't know how to slow my talking down. So we meet up at this restaurant, and we just start catching up, and you know, we're talking about, I'm trying to remember, y'all. My man, he hadn't even proposed yet. I don't even think he had proposed yet. Yeah, he didn't even propose yet. So we were just catching up, and I was telling her like, yeah, I think he's gonna propose soon. Like, I think he's gonna propose soon. So she was like, oh, okay, that's good. Da, da, da. So again, we hadn't really talked, and I never really knew what happened with Candle. So I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, whatever happened with Candle? She was like, oh girl, I had to stop talking to him because you were right. He just wasn't on his, like, he needed to be. Like, she was like, he was out on disability. He lied, y'all. He, like, I forget where he was working at, some warehouse or whatever. He was out on disability, and he wanted to go back to work because I guess they were about to stop paying him, or like as much money as he was making before, obviously, if he was actually working. So I guess disability only pays you like a percentage or something. So he was anxious to go back to work, that he faked the doctor's note saying that the doctor said he'd go back to work. They call the doctor, they find out, they fire him, mind you. He still don't got a car. He got fired from his job, and he was going through hell with his baby mom. So after a while, she was just like, you know, you were right. I got all of this stuff going for me, and I didn't see the vision or the purpose of him coming out here to live with me just to, you know, be living on my couch and me basically like raising him as like a son or whatever. So she was like, yeah, I had to cut him off. So I'm like, oh, okay. So like, I'm like, okay. So I'm like, how's school going? She was like, it's good. You know, I'll be done in XYZ. So I'm like, okay. She was like, yeah. So I started talking to this other guy that I've been dating. So I'm like, okay, like, how's that going? And she was like, it's good. Now, mind y'all, I think this boy is maybe like 6-7 years younger than her or something like that. He was living down south, and he came up here. He had like a toxic situation, family situation or whatever. And I think she ran into like his stepmom, his mom or something at a diner. She was out with one of her friends, and she met the stepmom mom at a diner. And you know, like in the movies, would it be like, oh, you would be so good for my son, you would be so good for my grandson, you would be so good for my nephew, something like that. And she literally gave her son Electra's number, and he texted Electra, and they actually went on a date, and they started dating. They started talking and everything like that. Next thing you know, he living in that house. And I think, like I said, Electra just gave desperate sometimes, and I feel like, and I feel bad using that word, but I can't think of another word to use, y'all, to be honest with y'all. Like, I really try not to be mean, so don't get in the comments like, oh, you're judging her, or you're doing this, or you're a mean girl. Because I'm really not. I'm really just trying to get the story across to y'all, but that's the only word that I can really think of to use. So I knew she was determined to get a man into that house because she wants the marriage and a white picket fence and a little lassie golden retriever dog. Like, that's the life that she envisioned for herself, and I'm not mad at it, right?
Wishful thinking.
Yeah.
You're a dreamer. You dream a lot in your sleep.
No, not really. I know.
Yes, you do.
No, I
yes,
don't.
you do.
So she was like, yeah, he's living with me, you know, we're making it work, da da da. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, how long has it been? She's like, oh, it's only been like 4 months. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, I'm not mad at it, you know, go with you. And you know, that was that, right? So she was like, yeah, we need to, you know, hang out, we need to do more, we need to do this, we need to do that, all that talking. I'm like, yeah, girl, you know, let me know. So we leave the taco spot, and you know, communication went back as normal. You know, we texting every day. She sent me up, how was your day, girl? You know, what you got planned this weekend? You know, what's that? How's your man? You know, how's work? You know, y'all, every day. I don't even talk to some of my best friends every day that I consider best friends. I don't remember the last time I seen Star. Last time I saw Star was at my wedding, and before that I probably hadn't seen Star probably for like 8, 9, 10 months for real, outside of my bachelorette weekend. So I'm like, she was like, yeah, everything's going well, you know, it's been, you know, 4 months, but we would talk like almost every day, right? So then fast forward, my man, he proposes. So he proposes, you know, I posted, I tell her, she was like, oh, you were right, you know, congratulations, you know, all of that good stuff. So I was like, yeah, you know, thanks, da 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 da. 2 weeks later, right? 2 weeks later, I get on Instagram, and she posted like a picture, and I think she was like holding like a mug, and you could see like her ring in the picture, and she was just like, I said yes, you know, he asked me in the cutest way, something like that. Y'all, I'm thinking it's a promise ring. Why does boy propose to her? Now I know y'all probably like, Ayanna, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Y'all don't think it's weird that after 2 weeks after I got engaged, she got engaged? Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm making it about me. My bad, y'all. So she was like, yeah, you know, we're engaged. So I hit her up, and I was like, oh girl, congrats. And she was like, yeah, you know, thank you. And I was like, that's so crazy. I'm like, how long has it been again? And I know some of y'all probably like, Ayanna, you being shady. But I was just curious. I really forgot. Like, I remember now because I'm telling y'all the story, but at the time I really didn't remember how long she said they had been dating at that time. So she was like, oh yeah, girl, it's only been like 4.5, 5 months. So I was just like, oh, okay, you know, congrats, you know, all the more, congrats. So she was like, yeah, you know, thank you, or whatever. So I was like, yeah, girl, you know, we need to go out as fiancés, you know, we need to go celebrate. She was like, yeah, you know, we do. Let's make plans. Y'all, we make plans. Say, for example, we make plans for like a Friday night after work, and it would be like Friday afternoon, and she'd be like, hey, girl, I'm going to have to cancel, you know, I'm studying. So I was just like, okay, girl, you know, that's fine. We can rain check it, whatever, right? And then say Saturday, she's out in Philly at a concert. So I'm just like, okay, cool. That's just a one-off, right? I'm like, okay, cool. Another week or so goes by. Hits me up again. Hey, girl, what you doing on XYZ day? Oh, girl, I ain't doing nothing. Like, what's up? You know, like, I ain't doing nothing this weekend. What's up? She was like, oh, let's link. Let's do this. I'm like, okay. Night before, whatever. Oh, girl, I can't. You know, I'm so stressed out. You know, my body's really not feeling it today. Da da da. I'm like, okay, cool. Go on Instagram. She out at a museum. She out at a bar. She's out somewhere with her friends, co-workers, whatever. Right? So I'm like, okay. So then some more time goes by. And at this time, I'm getting into like my wedding planning stage. So I wasn't really like super like available around that time anyway. But like I hit her up, and I'm like, hey girl, like what's up? Like let's link. Da da da. She was like, oh girl, I would, but just another excuse. But go on Instagram. She's out with somebody else. So after a while, I stopped caring. I was just like, you know, I'm not hitting her up no more. I'm gonna just start going back to how I was before. If you're not going to hit me up and you're not serious about us linking, then I'm not about to be making it seem like I'm, you know, pressing you to hang out, because it was never that deep. Like, I'm just thinking we're friends, and yeah. So I just left it at that. And then fast forward to like my bachelorette weekend and stuff like that, and all of that stuff was going on, right? So we're keeping in touch. My attitude is I didn't invite her to my bachelorette weekend. I didn't really invite her. Actually, no, I did invite her to my bachelorette weekend, and she said she couldn't make it. She said she had plans or something. So I was like, okay, cool, charges to the game. But I extended the invitation, right? So leading up to the wedding, you know, I sent her an invitation. I was like, you know, he's more than welcome to come, because, you know, y'all together, and that's your man, you know, whatever. So she was like, okay, cool. So she comes to, I'm trying to think. And I never addressed her. Like, hold on. I never really even addressed her about, like, the whole her hanging out with her other friends and stuff, because I was just like, again, y'all, I'm not about to press the issue. Like, it is what it is. But me, in my heart of hearts, knowing that, like, well, I still consider you to be somewhat of a friend. Like, I'm going to invite you to my wedding. She was like, yeah, you know, we'll be there. So I'm like, okay, cool. So she comes to the wedding. You know, we take our pictures. Everything was good. You know, I thanked them, you know, for coming, everything like that. Then, like, say a week, 2 weeks after the wedding, after we get back from Puerto Rico and stuff, she posts that she's pregnant. I don't know if she posted it or she texted me. I don't even think she texted me. I think she posted it and said she was pregnant. So at that point, I'm like, engaged, pregnant, all within 5 months. And again, some of y'all probably like, Ayanna, you got married fast. But let's rewind. I was with my man for 3 years prior to us getting married. We got engaged and married fast, but we were in a relationship for 3 years. You get what I'm saying? Her, from the time she started dating him to the time she was already engaged and having a baby, was in a span of 5 months. Some of y'all might be like, well, when you know, you know. Cool. That's y'all. My opinion, I'm like, she just repeating the pattern as before. But I hope for her it works, because when I met him, he seemed nice. He seemed like he, he loves her. He was in tune. So I was like, bet, I love that for her. I love that for my friend. She's finally getting her, her happy ending. So like I told you, I wasn't working over, the summer and stuff. I was just hanging out. So I would hit her up like, okay, girl, I'm going to be coming back to PA because I got something to do, or I got to, pick something up. Like, let me know if you want to link. Excuse, oh, girl, I can't. Oh, no, girl, we're going here. Oh, no, girl, I can't. So I left it alone. And then she ends up texting me maybe like 2 months ago. She ends up texting me and sending me an invite to her baby shower for next month. So I was just like, okay, cool. She was like, yeah, you bring, your man or whatever. So I'm like, all right, bet. So I go on there, RSVP. I was like, all right, cool, I'm going. Now, from the time she sent me the invitation and the time I RSVP'd and said I was going, over the span of that, bringing it up to present day from what I'm about to tell y'all, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong, leading up to that situation, she was still texting me. Good morning, how you been? What's been going on? What's new? How's married life? You look so happy. I'm so happy for you. I'm asking her about her pregnancy, how her pregnancy is going and stuff like that. Now, here's where I may be the asshole, but I personally don't feel like I am, because like I said, I feel like my delivery sometimes may be off. Even when I'm telling y'all a story, telling y'all even this story, past stories, whatever, my delivery can sometimes be a little off. Like some of y'all said that I was attacking clingy or stuff like that before, but that's just me. And if me and you been friends for 3-4 plus years, I've been the same person that I was 3-4 plus years ago. And if you had a problem with anything that I was doing 3-4 plus years ago, you should have never been my friend. All of them times we fell out, you should have left me where I was at. You should have never been trying to hit me up. You should have never been trying to be friendly with me again. You should have left me where I had you effed up at, because when you finally had me effed up, I left you right there. I was just kept giving her a pass, and that's on me. But sometimes people learn the hard way. So over that time, she hit me up, we're talking. And when she told me, about her pregnancy and stuff, due to her situation, I asked her, I'm like, how is the pregnancy going to be, on your body? Now, I don't know if she took that as me trying to, like, throw shade or, like, be rude or whatever. But, again, it's me being concerned, a concerned friend, because I know the struggles that you go through with your body. And holding all of that weight on your spine and on your back and on your lower, your lower extremities, that can be a lot of pressure. So I'm just asking a question, how is that going to be? Oh, I talked to my doctor and my doctor said it's fine. Okay, cool. I'm happy to hear that. But if we're calling, you get what I'm saying? If I call you a friend and you were to ask me something like that, I'll be like, girl, thanks for asking. No, I went to the doctor, because that's how I'm looking at the friendship. But I felt like she was responding to me in a way of like feeling like I was trying to be at her. But if you felt like that, why be my friend? You get what I'm saying, y'all? Because again, I've been having the same mouth, the same opinions from way back when. And if you had a problem with it before, you should have cut me off before. Because all the times we fell out, I never was the one to reach back out to Electra. She was always the one like, oh, girl, how you been? Like, I know it was miscommunication here, or we didn't talk here, or this. She would take the accountability knowing that it was her, and we would move on. You get what I'm saying? So that brings us up to present day. So, y'all, after all of that, like I said, we talked a little bit, over the summer. I have not seen her since my wedding, right? So I'm RSVP'd for the baby shower about 2 weeks ago, right? I'm on Instagram. And I get off work. Like I said, I work from home. I'm training. So I sign out or whatever. I'm laying across my bed. I'm just scrolling Instagram and her story pops up. So I click on her story. She has a gender reveal. Room full of people at this gender reveal. Faces that I recognize at this gender reveal. Co-workers, friends, family, some of his people, I don't know, but a room full of people, right? So I'm like, okay, mind you, I follow like 2 of her other friends, so I go to their Instagrams and they're there too, and everybody's standing at different points of the room with their phones out recording her. So she finds out she's having a boy. I see the video. I'm like, oh wow, like I'm happy for her. But then in the same breath, I'm like, damn, why wasn't I invited? Like, I didn't even know you was having a gender reveal, right? So I'm like, oh, okay. So part of me wanted to sit on it and not say anything. But then part of me was just like, I'm tired. I don't know what came over me that day, y'all. But I was just like, I'm tired. Like, I'm going to say something. Because at this point, I feel like you playing in my face. And I don't really usually let anybody play in my face. And I don't know why, if I just had a soft spot for her because of her situation. And I just let her get away with a lot of stuff because of her situation. Because if it was anybody else, minus a story time that's to come, minus that girl, I just felt some type of way, right? So I DM'd her, I responded to her story, and I was like, damn, not I wasn't invited. So y'all, she sends me back like this HR-ish response, right? And she goes, oh, hey love, sorry, we wanted to just keep it personal. You know, we just wanted to keep it, you know, small and personal with family and friends, but we're looking forward to celebrating with everybody at the baby shower. So I look at it, I don't respond. I immediately call my husband, right? So I was like, you know, you're the more level-headed one. I be ready to crash out. I'm always thinking, like I said, my glass be half empty. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm wrong, right? So I asked him, am I wrong for how I feel? Because my thought process, y'all, right, is at this time, you invite me to the baby shower. You invited me to the baby shower 2 months ago, right? You find out about the gender reveal. It was not thrown together because gender reveals, I don't know, I never had to be in charge of a gender reveal or anything like that. But from what I do know, the person who you put in charge of it has to get the gender, they have to get the cake made, they have to get the decorations, they have to get the invites out, the whole nine, right? She was in charge of doing, like, inviting the people to her gender reveal. You might have not known what the gender was, but you knew you were having one. You knew what day it was, and you didn't even invite me. Now, granted, I know that I've been in Jersey and stuff back and forth, but you knew I was starting a new job. You knew when I was starting a new job, so you knew I was going to be home in Pennsylvania. So you never even said, like, hey, girl, I know you've been back and forth to Jersey these last couple of months. You know, let me know if you're going to be in PA. You know, we're having our gender reveal on this day. You know, let me know if you could come. If you can't, I understand. As a friend, you extend the invitation, right or wrong. My opinion is you extend the invitation. So I asked him, and my man is like, no, I don't think you're wrong. And if he tells me, I don't know if y'all the same. If my man tells me, because he be so quick, like, Ayanna, you doing too much. All right, baby, like, you wilding, like, it's not that deep. He didn't even say that. He was like, nah, she's wrong. Like, I don't think that you're wrong in that situation at all. He was like, and let's not forget the fact that anytime you was hitting her up, she was always coming up with an excuse as to why y'all couldn't link, why y'all couldn't hang out. And you would go on Instagram and she's hanging out with other people. She's literally just doing the same thing. But what I don't understand is you're not about to keep me in a category and basically put me in a category of like a friend when you're acting, not necessarily acting because her actions were speaking louder, but it's like you want to keep tabs on me. You know, you want to know what I'm doing, what I got going on, how's this, what's that. You know my work schedule, you know my training schedule, you know when I'm going to start this, you know this, you know me and his plans. I'm giving you updates like a lot. You get what I'm saying? But I'm good enough for you to invite me to the baby shower for gifts and money. But I'm not good enough for you to have me at the gender reveal because that's for close personal friends and family. But when I look around the room, you got mad people there and I wasn't invited. I felt some type of way. It would be different if it was like really a small setting, like just them two and their parents and like a really, really close knit of friends or something like that. But it was a room full of people. And I can understand if like I even knew about it. She never even mentioned it to me. How are you texting me damn near every other day, but you never even said that you was planning a gender reveal? I felt like that was wrong. So I called my cousin, asked my cousin the same thing. She was like, no, I don't think you're wrong. And I wouldn't be going to that baby shower either. Asked my mom. My mom was like, you know, that girl been moving weird since you started talking to her all them years ago. I don't know why you keep trying to be that girlfriend. You need to just cut her off. Blah, blah, blah. So I go back to her message. I don't respond to it. I like the message. I was like, you know what? I'm going to sit on it because I'm going to decide if I'm going to go to her baby shower, you know, next month. But I'm going to just wait, right? Y'all, 2 days go by. I had to go. I forget where I had to go. I had an appointment. I think I was going to get a wax or something, right? So after I get home from my wax and I get on my phone, sitting on the floor, I'm about to start doing my homework. I'm on Instagram, you know, killing time or whatever. And I'm going through Instagram again. I see another one of her friends was there too. Now, mind you, this friend that was there was a friend whose back she kicked into me. Oh, she don't do this. Oh, I think the girl was living at her house or something at that point and wasn't trying to leave and was having her baby father over there and all of this drama. You had her there. So my attitude was like, I should have took that as a red flag back then, that like, if you could talk about your other friends to me, then you definitely talking about me to your other friends, especially when I'm trying to hit you up and link you or you're trying to do the same thing or whatever. Then everything just started hitting me all at once. Like, I just started having all of these flashbacks over the last couple of years, and I was just like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I'm done. You know, God has blessed me to, again, get a new job, a better job, get married. You know, we're trying to plan our future, family, kids, money moves, planning, building our own lives up in this chaotic country that we're living in right now. And I just don't have time for friends that's like not, and I'm not perfect, y'all. I'm not, but my close friends, Letty, Star, one of my other friends who I don't think I've ever done a story time about her yet. I've been friends with some of them girls going on 15 years, right? Probably had not even necessarily fallouts. Like me and Letty have had our fallouts over the years, but that's because Letty's personality and mine just sometimes clash, but it's all love. Like we don't kick each other's back in. Nobody can ever come back to me after people be like, oh, what happened to Letty? I be like, nah, she good. Even though we're not talking, we could be not talking for a year. Nobody would know that. People would still ask her. She'd be like, oh, she's fine. And then when we're ready to talk again and become friends, then that's how it was. And my attitude is like, I have all of these friends, not even all of these friends, but these main group of friends that I consider to be friends. And Electra was a part of that group, even though it's only been a couple of years. How come I have had 4 to 5 fallouts with you in a span of 4 to 5 years? We have a fallout once a year. And I've been friends with Star for like 15 years. And we had one little taft. And I wouldn't even call it a fallout. It was more like a miscommunication about like her graduation party from years ago. Me and that girl have never fell out. And something told me like, you know what? I just have to start treating people the way they treat me. And I'm not about to be going out of my way. Like, yes, she came to my wedding, but I don't care about that at that point. Like, it is what it is. This situation was specific. And I was just like, yeah, no. So I kindly went on Instagram, and I didn't even say nothing, y'all, because I feel like at the time I wasn't in a good mental space. I just felt like I didn't want to say nothing because she's pregnant. You know, I'm not trying to put that stress on her. Like, I'm not trying to make, the situation about me. I'm just going to let you know that, like, I'm done. Like, I'm cool off of you. So I blocked her. I went on Instagram. I liked her message, and I just blocked her. I blocked her off of Instagram. I blocked her off of Twitter. I blocked her from my phone. I don't know if she's subscribed to my channel or whatever, but hopefully she unsubscribes after this. I don't know if she's going to see it or not, but I'm just at the point where it's just like, I need to value people that value me and treat people the same way that they treat me. Basically just match energies, right? So I kindly went back to the RSVP for her baby shower. I went on there and I put in can't make it. And then I put, it gave you an option to leave a message. And I was like, I wish you nothing but the best. Sent it. And I was just done, right? So was I wrong for that? Like, I really want y'all to tell me if I was wrong. Like, do y'all feel like as though I should have said something to her or confronted her about everything? But I felt like it was no point in saying nothing to her about everything else because I could have addressed it when all of that stuff was happening. So my attitude was like, sometimes you get to a point where it's just like, I just don't want to say nothing. Like, my absence will speak louder than me snapping on you or going off on you because then, again, you're not my man. You get what I'm saying? I'm not about to be pressing you about nothing. You didn't invite me because you didn't want me there. And that's just what it is at the end of the day. But have that same energy. You don't want me at the gender reveal, and that's a more intimate, situation, but you don't have a problem with me being at the baby shower because that's where you get gifts and money and stuff like that. You're not getting anything from me. Like, I'm just cool. I'm not about to be the friend that comes around when you want somebody to spend money or go out or do something. Like, I'm cool. Like, so yeah, that was a story. Like I said, comment down below. Tell me if I was wrong. Tell me if I was the asshole. Tell me if I could have handled the situation better. And yeah, don't be telling me like, oh, Ayanna, I think that you were mean. I wasn't mean. Like I said, any details that I gave y'all about Electra and her situation fit into the story, because the only reason I told you about her situation is because, like I said, I felt like that is what her situation is, what made her so gung-ho on being with a man. And after I talked to my man and stuff, and he put into perspective, like, maybe she felt some type of way, maybe she felt like you were judging her, maybe she felt like you were looking your nose down on her with certain stuff. But again, I've been the same person that I was when she first met me on Bumble all of those years ago. And if you had a problem with any opinions that I was giving you back then okay. But based on the story, y'all, me telling her that I feel like you're catfishing, she fixed it. It worked out for her. Oh, you need to leave Candle alone because that situation is not going to manifest, and it didn't. Then after we started talking again, oh girl, you were right. You get what I'm saying? So you can't say that I'm like, I was judging you or looking my nose down. I don't look my nose down on anybody. I'm not jealous of anybody. I don't ever want anybody to be jealous of me. My mom used to tell me, like, I don't know why people want to be in my shoes when sometimes I don't even want to be in my shoes. Yes, I tell y'all, like, the good things that's going on in my life, but a bitch been down and out before. I've been down on my ass before. So, hard work, prayer, things like that is what helps me be able to progress in life and go after the life that I want. And I'm not ever going to look my nose down on her because that's the life that she wants. Like I said, I wish her literally, I wish her nothing but the best. I wish her a healthy pregnancy. I wish her a good, happy, healthily marriage, family, all of that. But I just had to remove myself from this situation because you're not about to pick and choose when and how you are my friend and you playing in my face. And girls that, you know, crossed you, did you wrong, owe you money, they got your gender reveal. And I ain't never did nothing besides have an opinion. And that is what broke the camel's back. Bet I'ma just charge it to the game. But yeah, y'all, that is the end of that. Like I said, comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. And I don't know what my next story time is going to be, but I think I'm gonna have a girl with tea coming up for y'all very, very soon. So I appreciate y'all, those of you who have been still emailing me, and I still got some emails to you know, go through. I did read through some of them that I think I'm gonna read in my next video. But yeah, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I missed y'all. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all, and I will see y'all in my next video. Peace.